In this video, I'll review the transportation problem as part of the linear programming application. We have two types of problems. We got transportation and assignment. In transportation, we have production sites that produce mainly units of something. It can be cars, it can be lots, it can be boxes, whatever. And we need to distribute them to warehouses. Okay, so we're going to look forward to an optimal transport. That means with a minimum cost. Regarding assignments, here what we got, it's people or machines, and we're going to be assigning them into tasks. Also, we're going to be doing an optimal assigning. Let's start with an example, the P&T company case. The P&T company produces canned peas in 3 different canneries, one in Bellingham, Eugene, and Alberta. It needs to distribute them to 4 different warehouses. One is Sacramento, Salt Lake, Rapid City, and Albuquerque. Here, our objective function is to reduce the truckload cost. Okay, we have here our parameter table where we have the 3 canneries, and we got also the 4 warehouses. These numbers, the output, are my sources of truckloads from each cannery, while these numbers, it's the demand of truckloads from each warehouse. The parameter table, it's balanced. If you see, we got here 300 units, and my demand, it's of 300 units. That means it's balanced. In the center, we're going to have what we call the unit cost for each truckload. That means if I send 1 truckload from cannery of Bellingham to Sacramento, my unit cost per truckload is of $464. Now, we can provide also a network representation of this same information. On the left side, we're going to have the canneries. On the right side, we're going to have the warehouses. So we got 3 canneries. My supply from the first cannery, it's of 75 truckloads, 125 for the second, and 100 from the third. That gives me 300. Regarding my warehouses, I got 80 on demand, 65, 70, and 85 respectively. So we also have the 300. That means it's balanced. These are negative because if we add them, we're going to get 0, and that means that it's balanced. And on each edge between the cannery and the warehouse, we're going to put the information regarding the unit cost. If we compare the Winterglass company and the P&T company, Winterglass, it's a linear programming case, while P&T, it's a transportation case. The objective function for Winterglass is to increase profit, while in P&T, what we're looking forward is to reduce cost. So here, we ask in Solver to maximize, while here, we're going to ask to minimize. The problem definition for Winterglass is to determine the production rates where we can maximize our total profit. Here, we want to determine the shipments that will let us minimize the total shipping cost. In Winterglass, in linear programming, we have 5 assumptions. In transportation, we have 4 assumptions. That's our next image. In the parameter table, we got decision variables, and we're going to be using the same letter of decision variables in both cases. The only difference is that in linear programming, we use letter A mainly for our coefficients, letter B for our resources, and letter C for our contribution per unit. While in the parameter table of transportation problem, we're going to be using letter C, that's our unit cost, letter D, that's for our demand for each destination, and letter S, that would be my supply from each source. Regarding transportation assumptions, we say there were four. The first one says that we have a requirement assumption. That means each source has a fixed supply of units and each destination has a fixed demand of units. Our second assumption is the feasible solution assumption. A transportation problem will have a feasible solution if and only if we have a balance equation. That means if we add all our supply, this should be also equal to all our demand. Regarding our third assumption, the cost assumption, any source to any destination is the unit cost of distribution. Our fourth assumption, it will be the model assumption. Formulating a problem as a transportation only requires a parameter table. We don't need more. I know we say that it's not necessarily to write a formal mathematical model, that means a symbolic model, although we're going to bring it just to watch one property of this model. If you see, we have a distinctive structure. We're going to have first the restrictions for our supply, and also as a second restrictions, we're going to have also the restrictions for demand. In this figure, we can see how do we have restrictions for supply, while in the lower part, this is our restrictions for our demand. This is what we call a distinctive structure, and it's properly of transportation problem model. Now, main issue here is that we have an integer solution property. For transportation problems, for every supply or demand, we have an integer value. All basic variables in every basic feasible solutions also have integer values. That means we are not going to be having any fractional numbers. They're going to be all integers. If we use Excel solver for solving the problem of the PAT distribution problem, we're going to have this pattern. We're going to have mainly three inputs of information: our unit cost, our supply, and our demand. One main difference, if you see, is that here we're not using less equal sign, we're using the equal. That means we need to send exactly this supply, and we need to satisfy exactly this demand. We cannot have fractions here. Okay? Total ships, we are adding all the row, okay, while receive, we're adding the columns. My total cost, we're going to be multiplying the unit cost times the shipment. That will be my total cost. So here we're going to put the total cost. We're saying that we want to minimize. Our changing cells are going to be this block. At the beginning, they're going to be zeros. And we're going to have two restrictions. One for shipped, they got to be equal to supply, and one for demand or receive, that they have to be equal to demand. Be sure to indicate that variables, they cannot be negative, and also that we're using simplex, okay? And then just run it, and what you're gonna get, it's a total cost of 152,000. Now let's go over another example, the MG Auto Company. Here we have assumed that the model is balanced. That means total supply, it's equal to total demand. So my supply, it's from 3 different source plants, and my total supply, it's of 3,700. while my demand is 2 warehouses. My total demand is of 3,700, so it's balanced. Now, in real life, this balance condition, it's not really easy to get it. So what can we do when we got an unbalanced situation? We add a fictitious origin, a fictitious supply, or a fictitious destination. We call it a dummy origin or a dummy destination, depending the situation. For example, let's assume that the Detroit plant capacity is of 13,000. So the situation is about unbalanced. We have a supply of 3,500 while we're demanding 37. Here, because supply it's less, what we're going to do is we're going to add a dummy supply with a capacity of 200 cars. Okay, so here we got the dummy plant with the 2 extra 200 units, and now my situation, it's balanced. We got 37 from supply and from demand. Now, let's assume that the Detroit plant, its capacity, it's not of 1,300 cars, it's of 1,300 cars and not 1,500. So we have an unbalanced situation. We're going to have a supply that it's going to be of 3,500 against 37 demand. So here we're going to be adding a dummy plant with the difference of 200 units, and that way we're going to have a balanced situation and we can solve the problem. On the other hand, let's assume that the Denver demand is of 1,900 and not 23. Now it's the opposite situation. We're going to have an unbalanced situation of a supply of 3,700 and a demand of 33. Here we're going to be adding a dummy destination with the difference of the 400 cars. And with these situations, we can solve the problem because it's already balanced. Now, currently with Excel Solver, it's not necessarily to include a dummy plant. Okay, if the model is a balance, Solver takes a problem and solves it. We just got to be aware that a supply or demand will be left with surplus or shortage respectively. For example, here we have a 3,500 car supply, but we need 37. Okay, so Denver will gonna be getting 23 and Miami will be getting 1,400. Okay, now we've got here a shortage of 200. That means that Miami is going to have a shortage of 200 units. Finally, just to mention that most of the material we have seen in this video comes from chapter 8.1, Transportation Problem, from the Introduction to Operation Research book from Frederick and Gerald. Thank you.